going to be on our way. Thank you. Okay, I see you. So you
I'm in.
give you access.
Okay.
Okay, I'm jumping in right now to give you access. Okay, you have access.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm going to do the promo intro and then we're going to go.
Let's do it.
All right.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar, Master the Path of Money with MAPS coach Drew Lee. Please note that this webinar is being recorded and you will automatically receive the webinar recording. If you have questions for your coach, please type them into the questions box located in your webinar taskbar. Following the webinar, if you have any questions about today's call or the coaching program, please email us at fasttrack@kw.com. That's FASTTRACK@kw.com. That's all for me. Drew, take it away.
Thank you so much, Carrie. I appreciate it. Appreciate everyone's patience. I just need one person to type that they can hear me coming in loud and clear on the questions. Perfect. Thank you so much. All right. So now that I know you can hear me, so I apologize for the technical difficulties. We'll get moving. So welcome to Master the Path of Money. This is our promo for one of our group programs that I'm honored to facilitate and kind of walk you through. It's a roadmap to financial independence. So a couple of years ago, I'll give you the brief history. A few years ago, the last time we were at Family Reunion, Gary Keller was speaking on stage, and he was talking about an experience and a conversation that he had with Dave Ramsey around the millionaire real estate investor. And in that conversation, Gary was discussing, hey, that in the past that book was never endorsed, and Gary was kind of confused of why. And we talked, and him and Dave had a conversation, and it kind of dawned on me that Dave Ramsey has an amazing program out there. Many of you have probably done it before. It's called Financial Peace University. And yet, as entrepreneurs and as people that really control their own income, we have a great financial model right in the Millionaire Real Estate Investor. So why didn't we take all of the learning that we have within Keller Williams Realty and kind of create our own program on a roadmap to financial independence? How do you leverage debt? How do you do things in the financial world? How do you basically create an endless stream of income that eventually can replace all of the ways that you actively earn money? So Gary put some slides on the wall, and it was a PowerPoint, and the PowerPoint basically said, here are the mistakes that people make with money. So not only did we have a roadmap of the Millionaire Real Estate Investor, between that, Quantum Leap, and so many of the tools and literature out there, we were able to piece together and take some of the best works out there in the financial world, some of the best things that many of you have probably read, and just kind of combine them into a roadmap for financial independence from start to finish, wherever you are on this path. Master the Path of Money. So the program requires one thing that's really, really important. It requires giving up looking good and being right. When you look at social media these days, you see people that are on weight loss, you see people that are losing weight, gaining weight, they get married, they get divorced, they'll tell you their entire relationship status, they have illness, they're basically, politics, religion, things that in most conversations people don't discuss. Well, on social media, you see all of it. We expose everything out there except one. There's one frontier remaining, and there's one taboo topic that's still out there: the conversation around money. Even that word can make people uncomfortable. The idea of money. Let's talk about money. Let's have a conversation about money. You could ask somebody on Facebook, what they weigh, how old they are, what their religious or their political views are, and they'll tell you everything there is. But when was the last time you asked or you saw a conversation on social media about, I'm broke, I'm living paycheck to paycheck, Or I just had my greatest month ever and I made $30,000 net. Conversations around money are still considered taboo. Asking somebody how much they make, asking somebody how much they net, what's their profit. These are conversations that just don't happen in a normal day or even on social media. Why? Well, because money is still one of those topics that gets associated so much with a status that it's an uncomfortable conversation unless we're willing to give up looking good and being right and make it a comfortable conversation to have. So I'll give you a brief introduction. My name is Drew Lee. I'm privileged and honored to facilitate this program. We wrote this program a few years ago and just have been tweaking it, just rewrote it again, the last several sections, and we're finishing that up now. Everything that we've done leading up to this kind of came from not only that conversation with Gary Keller and him describing with the background with Dave Ramsey. A lot of this conversation started a few years ago. I'd say when I was in my early teens, let's call it that. That's where the conversation around money started, because that's where my problems began with money. One of the reasons I'm so passionate about this topic is because as a MAPS coach, we help people make a tremendous gain in their business. We help people make a lot of money. Many of you make a lot of money, and yet what are we doing to make sure that you're keeping more that you earn, that you're putting it and you're investing it wisely? So my story in the late teens, I kind of grew up understanding you could go out to any restaurant you wanted to, and you could either basically put it on one form of a charge card or another. And that was the way I was kind of raised. And most people, we find their financial literacy and their roadmap to financial devastation, financial ruin, or financial independence comes as a result of how they were raised, who they were raised, and how they were educated around money and that conversation. Well, credit cards was a way of life growing up. My parents used them. I didn't understand them. I didn't know the implications of using a credit card. So when I was 18, I got my first credit card. It was a gas credit card. And I learned there's something very interesting about gas stations. You can pretty much, as a teenager and an early adolescent, early adulthood, you can pretty much survive on anything at a Chevron or a Texaco station. I learned that by fact. You can get any food, drinks. If you can survive on hot dogs and honey buns, you're okay. And it comes with a price. It comes with credit, and it comes with a credit card and a thing called finance charges. So by the time I was in my early 20s, I was about $20,000 in debt. By the time I was almost 30, I was about $70,000 in debt. And that's not including a car, not including a house. That's just in loans and extended credit cards. So it was kind of like math for dummies. If you make $2,500 a month, and somebody's going to give you $5,000 and they only want you to pay back $100 or $200 a month, well then, all right, my $2,500 paycheck might as well be $2,200. That's okay. I got the money now, right? Except for the fact that finance charges will eat you up and never allow you to get out from underneath the debt by making minimum payments. And all credit card companies have to do is basically disclose. So I had the rare experience, and I trust it's rare. If you've been through this, then my hat off to you. You'll know what it's like. Is having to go in front of a judge, and when you're in your late 20s, and basically declare in front of the world that you are an idiot with money. And I had to do that, and I had to go in front of a judge and say, "Yep, I'm so bad with money. I need court intervention." That was an experience I'll never forget, and it's an experience I trust no one ever has to go through. And that's kind of the roadmap of this entire program. I've spent the last decade. I became a MAPS coach in 2009. I got in the real estate industry in 2003, sold for several years. I was a team leader briefly, and then been a MAPS coach ever since. I had the privilege of teaching BOLD around the country for about 2.5 years. If you're not in that program, definitely take BOLD, especially now while they're in the rewrite. You get to be part of the lab process. So go to BOLD, go to BOLD, go to BOLD. Did that for 2.5 years, and then been coaching agents ever since. And I've watched this trend with real estate agents and business owners that we can make a lot of money, but if we don't know what to do with it once we've made it, you're going to run into problems. So the entire process of this program is around A, never having people experience what I went through financially, and B, helping you create a roadmap to a financial independence. And wherever you are on that path, it's okay. Take a deep breath. It's like Gary's story about learning how to ski. You just go down the hill and go wee along the way. So let's dive in. So if you'll notice, we keep talking about that we're experiencing a shift. You keep hearing the word shift. We're going through a shift. We're starting a shift. The shift is beginning. We've been in a shift, not necessarily an economic shift like we saw back in 08 to 2011 and 2012. We're in a competitive shift. The industry is shifting. The world around us is shifting. There are more real estate agents in the industry than the income can support. So everything around us is shifting. Tech is shifting. What's different about this shift, when the economy starts shifting and ultimately the signs of a shift, days on market increase, you see all this turmoil go through the market. What's going to be so different about this shift is, while usually you have an economic shift, this time you're also going to have an entire industry shift of whether who's going to win, the tech-enabled agent or the agent-enabled tech. If you look at the tactics of shift, get real, get right is about getting your mindset around a shift. Well, money and mindset go hand in hand, how you think about money. So we do a checkup from the neck up and say, where are we today financially? How did I get here? And what do I want to do different moving forward? Tactic number 2, remargin your business. Cut your expenses. Know where your profit margin is. And if you read Profit First, consider taking it first. Tactic number 3, do more with less. Tactic number 3, it's like, how do you leverage more? How do you combine jobs, tasks, roles? So ultimately, you can have a more profitable business. And as we're making it more profitable, we're going to show you what to do with it. In a shift, you see a couple things. If you've read this book, Who Moved My Cheese, it's a great analogy. It's about, I mean, you could read it in a day. It takes you through the story of these 4 mice. To me, it describes a shift hand in hand. What is a shift? Well, things change, things move. What was is no longer the same way. In the book, Who Moved My Cheese, it describes it's a silly little story of 4 mice. If you've heard it, then you'll know this. And it's about a block of cheese in the middle of a maze. All the mice know where the cheese is. They go there every single day. They gorge themselves. They have a great life. It's awesome. One day they go there and the cheese is gone. It's been moved. Well, now what? Well, Sniff and Scurry immediately decide, you know what? We're going to run out. We're going to go find new. And they just take off. Hem and Haw, they think about it. They discuss it. They sit around wondering if it'll come back, wishing it would, telling old stories and war stories about when the cheese was there. One finally takes off, and you know how the rest of the story goes for the last one if you don't read the book. But a shift and shifting our way of thinking about money, it's related to Who Moved My Cheese. It's related because what once was doesn't have to be that way anymore. How do you anticipate? How do you adapt? And then what do you do to go change your financial destiny? These are the statistics that scare the living daylights out of me. The statistics of 78% of people live paycheck to paycheck. This is from NerdWallet from 2017, that a study that they did. So this was shared. I guess it was last year. Last year, I went through Dave Ramsey's Master Coach Certification Program. And this was one of the slides that they shared of what made them start branching out, teaching people how to teach Financial Base University and actually how to coach around the Ramsey method. We teach some of that in this program. What we really wanted to do is combine some of the best overall practices that we have in the financial world. So when I'm teaching Dave's material, I stick very, very true to it. If we're working from somebody else's, I'll stick true to their material as well. And then I'll kind of give you some from real world experience of what we've learned in this process and writing this program, as well as what some of the best people out there in the financial world, some of the advice and the suggestions that they've made. If you have any questions, you can feel free to type in the question box. So 78% of people are living paycheck to paycheck, and do you realize that 66% of Americans would struggle to pay for a $1,000 emergency? They couldn't pay for a $1,000 emergency. That's terrifying, without having to borrow against it. So when I go to those, one specific retail store that has a door greeter, and sometimes, you know what, they're a little older, And I like to tell myself the story that they're there because they want to be, not because they make up the 78% of Americans or the 66%. Because one of the biggest challenges financially America and the United States is having currently is people outliving their retirement. They were wise, they did save, they did have a retirement plan, and they've actually outlived it. So now what? So our goal is you don't worry about that. You learn how to master money, you learn what to do with it, and you just improve your financial habits week over week over week. So you don't end up part of the 78% or the 66% that would struggle for $1,000 emergency. 7 out of 10 couples do not budget consistently. We take you through budgeting in depth. We hammer it probably more than you want to know about the word budget, or cash flow plan is what we call it. We're going to also teach you something called ghost money. This is probably the favorite or least favorite conversation that we get to have around money over an 8-week period in Master the Path. The reason being is you learn where do you spend money and where does it just go up in smoke. It evaporates, it disintegrates. It's being purchased, or things that are being purchased using money on a daily, weekly, consistent basis in items that don't appreciate and they don't cash flow. Things like coffee. These are some of the most common ways that people spend what we call ghost money. It's ghost because it's gone. It evaporates. So once you're in a line in a grocery store, or you go to the the overpriced coffee, $6 a week for 10 years, you'll spend $3,120 total. If you had taken that same amount of money and put it into an interest-bearing account at 8%, usually associated with mutuals, mutual funds on average, they have a 30-year average. The average mutual index fund has over a 12% ROI, 11 to 12%. So 8% is conservative. If you look at compound interest, Einstein called compound interest the 8th wonder of the world. So coffee at $6 a week for 10 years. That's basically 1 cup of coffee a week. Well, I know people that they have that green cup of coffee every day on the way to the office or on the way to the market center. So just calculate what that is. One of the assignments that you'll need is you will need to download a compound interest calculator. You're going to want one anyway. I mean, you're a realtor, having a compound interest calculator to show payments is great, or an amortization schedule. In this case, we're going to use a compound interest calculator. So you take some of what we call your ghost money and we determine where does it go. Look at a bank statement for the last 30 days. Pull up where have you spent money. What have you spent money on an item that didn't cash flow or didn't appreciate, means it didn't become more valuable, it became less valuable. So your cups of coffee, the magazines, pretty much anything at the end cap right as you're about to check out, that's the retail store's last moment to grab any profitability right there on the end shelf. That's why drinks, that's why candy, that's why things that are put at eye level for kids, that's why they are where they are. One last ditch effort to grab your dollar on the way out the door. So alcohol, if you have 1 drink, $10 a week for 10 years, or 2 drinks, depending upon the value or the cost, you'll spend $5,200 over that 10-year period. If you had invested that amount of money, you would have made an additional $2,675 for a grand total of $7,800. iTunes, buying books, Amazon Prime. Retailers have become a master on how to separate you from your money, so much so that we think it's a convenience factor that you can save your credit cards in Amazon and you can save your credit cards in your iPhone or your Apple Wallet, and that's great. And now you can even put it on your Apple Watch or your Mac. That's awesome. And all it really does is it removes any friction point from you being able to purchase an item or a retailer being able to separate you from your money. That's how easy it is. You can push a button and all of a sudden the item will arrive in the next 24 to 48 hours. It's so simple, it's so easy. We want to show you how to use some of these tools and actually how do you create some friction points, making it more difficult to spend while adding some hassle factor so you can save more money. We'll go over more in detail over the next couple of weeks. Lunch, $50 a week for 10 years. Food and alcohol are by far 2 of the biggest money sucks that we have, especially in the business world today. And I get it, it's a write-off. You can justify it. And wouldn't you rather have a lot more of that money back, only to then pay a percentage of that cost on taxes? I get we can write these things off, but you know what? I'd rather you have $39,123 in your bank account when it's all said and done. Now, let me give you another real world scenario. We spend a lot of money. Gary Keller decided to turn this company into a tech company. One of the biggest reasons, because we were spending nearly $1 billion on technology, bolt-on technology. So by switching, let's just say you adopt and you switch and you go to Command. When you do that, I'm going to say you're using one of those higher end systems. Maybe it's a Boomtown or Commissions Inc. or Curator or Contactually or something along those lines. Do you realize that over a 5-year period at the same 8% interest rate, okay, at $1,500 a month, you would have $113,264 in your bank account. You would have spent $1,500 a month over the course of the next 5 years. You will have spent $91,000 and you would have profited $21,764. So $91,500 is what you would have paid. You'd still have that money, plus you would have made passively $21,764. That's the power of compound interest, of where you take your money and you put it into something that's going to do good for you. Not necessarily something that is going to cost more. So the idea of being able to take technology and just use that as an example, and now take that amount of money and invest it, you can win the game of money. That'd be $21,000 in passive income. It'd be like buying a new car. So just some ideas and things that we walk you through and Master the Path. Here's the thing. One of the things that we're going to walk you through and teach is a concept called instant gratification, which we already know. Amazon feeds off of instant gratification. I love Amazon. I got a Prime membership card too. And what would happen if we just deterred or stopped spending as much? Instead of $30 a week or $50 a week or Amazon or alcohol, any of those costs, what would happen if you instantly gratified yourself in your savings or your investment accounts? So if you forego that item at the store, if you decide not to have a cup of coffee, one of the process or habits that we work on is picking up your phone. We share some tech hacks or apps financially. So if you see a $10 glass of wine and you have a $10 glass of wine, that's great. Instead of having your second, take that $10 and put it into your investment portfolio. Instead of buying a pair of shoes or a bag or clothes or something, you know, online or at the store, you forego that item and you take that amount of money and instantly put it in your account. It's instant gratification of saving and investing at a high level for yourself. So the ghost money becomes something of the past. Gary teaches that there are 4 things you can basically do with money. I want you to think of this as a board game. We teach you this. We go over this specific page of the Millionaire Real Estate Investor multiple times. There's one mistake on this, and I'll point it out. So we've got 2 kinds of capital. There's human capital. This is the money we work for. Think of this as your commission checks. This is the money that you earn. All right, you go sell houses. You've got commission checks coming in after you pay costs of sales. You've got your human capital as the money you work for. After you've paid all of your bills, after you've paid your mortgage, your electricity, everything that you have, after you've spent that, you have whatever money is left over, what we call your cash flow, okay? It's whatever money is unallocated for something like, for example, a house or car. That's your cash flow. You have 4 choices of what you can do with cash. You can spend it, you can donate it. You'll see donate times 2. You can hold it, which means save it, or you can invest it. Gary says that the path of money doesn't work unless you put some percentage of your cash flow, some percentage of your income in the hold category and the investment category. Dave Ramsey's baby step number 1 is get $1,000 in an emergency fund. That would be the hold it. Hold it is save it. If you have any questions, feel free to type them in the box. If you don't put any percentage of your income, a dollar, a cent, a nickel, anything in the investment category, the game is over. Do not pass go, do not collect $200. Some portion of your income, in order to win with money, has to go in the investment category. Ask yourself this: how much did you invest last month And where did you invest last month? If you'll share, I'll put it on the screen. If you haven't invested and you're not investing anything at the moment, this is your opportunity to shift how you think about money and start getting in the game so you can win the game. If you invest any percentage, well, then there are two options: lending it, owning it. There's passive, there's active. We'll get more into the details and the nitty-gritty later. Whatever comes as a result of your investments, dividends, you know, you look at your bank statement these days, you might have made a couple cents on dividends. It's usually a blue line on your statement. Well, that's passive income. Rent, passive income. Anything where your money is working for you and creating a return is passive income, or in this case, financial returns. And then you see the diagram go all the way up to the top. Your profit share all of a sudden could go in capital assets, is where money is working for you. And now you have even more cash flow. If you want to rapidly accelerate this game, take your financial returns and put them all right back into the investment category. You'll win the game even faster. So here's the program details. We start July 15th at 2 p.m. We walk you through your mindset, your myth understandings, breaking the myths and the barriers about how we think, giving up looking good and being right, and accepting where you are financially. We break down budgeting. We work on creating your own consumer rules for money, so where you get to make the rules. Budgeting and cash flow. How do you attack debt so you're free and clear and get free and clear work even quicker? Knowing your net worth. So giving you a net worth calculator and actually teaching you the decisions that you make, what's the financial implications with every decision. The reasons people do and don't become millionaires. Investing, where to begin. We teach profit first. As a certified profit first professional, we actually take that book and show you the models within it in session 7. And then we teach you the things like, what is an IRA, an HSA, a SEP account, 401ks, and just kind of dispelling a lot of the complications or the complexity out of becoming an investor. One of the, there are a couple solutions that we offer, we talk about frequently as far as apps. If you haven't seen these, I'll share them with you. Apps like Acorns, Betterment, Stash, Twine, Every Dollar Direct, Mint. We walk you through what is modern day technology that you can use on your phone to increase budgeting, decrease spending, be able to donate more, and ultimately be able to invest more. You could start today by downloading Acorns. In addition to this, we have an online community, and the online community is on Facebook. You'll be a member, be part of that process and program, and once you're in forever. So our entire goal was to build a community around mastering the path. We're all on some version of our own path. Well, are you mastering money? All calls are recorded. Active participation is great. Ultimately, learning how to avoid the negative emotions around surrounding money, discovering how to embrace a game-winning strategy with money, focusing on the mindset and skills required to thrive. And it's a roadmap for financial independence. And the Facebook group allows us to have a community where we can learn, share, experience. Technology is changing so rapidly, especially in the finance world. So there are all these finance hacks and these tools and tips and tricks essentially that can help you get in the game sooner and invest with money. It becomes a lot of fun, especially when you take your ghost money and you immediately invest it. And you can watch it actually grow. You can watch your returns go up, as well as projectors of where you'll be in 5, 10, 15, 20 years, however long you're willing to play the game and work on mastering the path. This all starts July 15th. So our seminars, this was from our previous launch, so it's July 15th is our next launch date. 8 weekly seminars, and then we do a 30-minute Q&A on Facebook Live immediately following. And we get into anything. I mean, it's no holds bars. I spent the last year going through the education. I am not a certified financial planner. I want to make that clear. However, I did go through and I did the educational curriculum from Boston University on financial planning. I can't give you advice. However, I can answer questions from my own experience and based on the principles that we studied and used to write this material. Somebody asked me last round, of what will I get from this program that I couldn't get from reading all of the books. I said, you'll probably learn nothing new. What you will learn, though, is the path and the power of having a community of where you can share your successes, learn from one another on our failures and our opportunity to get better. So I appreciate everyone showing up today. Do you have any questions? If you do, type them in the question bar. I'll be happy to answer them. You can go to www.masterthepath.com and you can sign up online. That's www.masterthepath.com. You can also go, obviously, to mapscoaching.com. See not only about our one-to-one coaching, you can also see about our group programs, including Master the Path of Money. Any questions? Our next promo webinar, where we get into more and we get into some of the technology and the energy around money, will be May 20th at the same time, 2 p.m. I look forward to seeing you there. Please sign up and sign up on Master the Path. Have a great day. What were some of the apps I mentioned? Great. One of them is Acorns. And we really get into more details on what these are. So acorns.com, or you can download it straight from your phone. That specifically is a technology around banking and where it rounds up your loose change. If you have a Bank of America, I think it's Bank of America card, Bank of America has rounded up, like, for example, debit card purchases. So if you go into the store and you buy like a $6.25 cup of coffee, it would round it up to $7 and invest that 75-cent difference. And that's Acorns. Betterment is also a independent advisor. It's an algorithm investing company where you can have a specific set of money go to an investment account, and you get to set the dial on ultra conservative to ultra aggressive and everything in between. So those are some of the more popular ones. We've got about, I'd say, about 7 or 8 different apps that we suggest, recommend, and just kind of walk you through the values and what they offer and what they do. Any other questions? Well, I look forward to seeing you on May 20th on our next webinar, and you joining on masterthepath.com for our July 15th launch. Have a great afternoon. Make it a phenomenal week.